Obsidian's RPGs are known for giving players a lot of choice and freedom to roleplay, and The Outer Worlds 2 is no exception. If you want to maximize your hours spent in the early game though, and get some of the most impactful upgrades and weapons up front, it can be a bit hard to know where to go. That's why we're here to help you with this list of 11 things to do first in The Outer Worlds 2.
I must say, I'm rather amazed.
If you're playing on PS5 and want to make use of the adaptive triggers in your DualSense controller, the adaptive triggers setting is off by default, so make sure you turn it on in the accessibility settings menu. One of the first choices you need to make will be during the prologue. There's no downside or point of no return with either of these choices, but you're essentially being asked whether you want to be tutorialized in sneaking or in fighting. The security ops choice is the stealthy option, while the central dispatch choice is for open combat. Choosing the path that aligns most with your character stat choices that you've already made is probably for the best, but if you want the option to change your mind after making the choice, then make a manual save after the first combat encounter, which will allow you to roll your choice back if you'd like. Once you land on Paradise Island, you can run left from the ship, down the main road to the north, past the wreckage, and then loot the nearby bodies to find a helmet mod that grants you a new weapon slot, plus the crafting recipe to help you make more in the future. You can also find a triple-barreled shotgun nearby. Finding as many different weapon types as possible is good for having more options when you run out of other ammo types.
An opportunity comes visiting, perhaps it's better not to riddle it full of holes.
Before exploring much more of the island, we recommend following the main objective and finding the two people in charge of Fairfield, Milver Street and Core. When I played, I started by exploring much of the southern half of the island first, before going to Fairfield, and that seems to have introduced a bug where the conversation with Minister Milver Street ends abruptly, rendering him impossible to talk to. Loading an early save solved this, so my theory is this has something to do with accessing the facility he would normally ask you to visit before speaking to him. Talking to Core and Milver Street first should alleviate this issue, leaving your quest options open. Although hopefully this bug is fixed in a day 1 patch or soon after release, so you don't have to worry about it. To the southwest of Fairfield is a tower. Approaching from Fairfield, you can reach the base of the tower by climbing along the sides of this broken down elevator. At the top you'll find Spire Grove and start the Final Death for Gravity side quest.
Jackson! Jackson! Twitch your broken legs if you can hear me, Jackson!
By following this quest, you'll unlock the Plasma Thrust Boots, which give you a double jump. This ability unlocks new areas for you in Arcadia, makes traversal much easier, and you can also find 2 advanced decryption keys on the climb for free. Follow this climb from the ground to climb up the platform, find the keys, and fix the tower to finish the quest.
If you don't have that drive overloader, ascending may be a waste.
That's it? It was that easy?
Speaking of advanced decryption keys, the first lockbox that they can unlock for you after the Auntie's Choice Dematerializer is an upgrade kit for VALERIE, which requires 4 keys. You can find 4 fairly quickly on Paradise Island. The Fairfield bounty quest, Diabolical Drones of Doom, gives you one as a reward, and you can buy one more in town for 1,000 bits. When you add the 2 from the Grove climb that we just showed you, you should now have enough to unlock VALERIE's upgrade back on the Incognito. You can now change her armor and weapons from the squad menu at any workbench, and because this is more of an equipment change rather than a skill unlock, you can return to this menu to swap your loadout choices at any time. There's an area to the southeast of the island called the Euphoria Coast Automech Repair Center. There are a few things to find in this area, but you'll need to get the access pass first, which can be found to the west of Fairfield in the Ministry of Accuracy building. Only come here after talking to Core and Milver Street though. I suspect this area specifically is what trips the bug that I mentioned earlier. When you're inside the Ministry, as you're halfway up the climb in the main building full of Raptidons, there's a terminal on the wall. Selecting Alert, Overdue Deliverable, and Print Euphoria ARC Pass will give you the pass you need to enter the repair center. You can find the repair center here on the map. This area has a number of quests associated with it, but the main reason we've taken you here now is to unlock the Gas Energy Deflection Apparatus, which will allow you to summon an Overshield at will via the gadget menu. When you arrive at the center, talk to Marshall Donaldson and Mechanist Woodrow before finding Delphinia Bryant nearby in one of the garages.
Oh yes, I adore interruptions.
She'll task you with helping her build the device. First, go stand in one of the Xyranium clouds in the base, then return to her. She'll then need a catalytic amplifier. Talk to Woodrow again in the neighboring garage, and eventually he'll tell you that you can maybe find one down the coast. Take out the Crabbles on the beach to the west of the facility, and inspect the Broken Dragoon to get your amplifier. Now return to Delphinia, and she'll make you the shield prototype.
With this gadget, you'll be shielded against more than Xyranium, you know. Damn near everything, as long as it's charged.
This device activates a shield around you at will, which you can use to either withstand hazards in a given area, or as a way to mitigate incoming damage from enemies in combat. One of the better weapons that you can find in the early hours of the game is located to the north of the Euphoria Repair Center. There's a quest at the nearby farm which will take you to this weapon naturally, but you can also just go to this marker on the map on your own too. Head to the red spire and climb along the east face of it up the hill. Fight any nearby Raptidons, and after you take out the Colossus at the top, scout around the area to find a dead body holding an Incendiary triple barrel shotgun. This does much more damage than the prior shotgun from earlier, and it's completely free. Did you know that there are pets in the Outer Worlds too? The pets stay on board the Incognito, so you won't have to worry about them getting hurt during combat. You can only have one active at a time, but it is nice to have some companionship on your ship full of other companions. Here's where to find the first two available. South of the Incognito is the Crabble farm. Talk to Crabble Rancher Casey out front, and she'll talk about Lucy the Crabble being unwell.
What am I gonna do if something terrible happens to you?
You can then use a trauma kit to save Lucy, and then interact with her to take her on as a pet. If you don't have a trauma kit, you can buy them from doctors in Fairfield or the Euphoria Repair Center.
Lull detected. Conversational status uncomfortable.
Speaking of the Euphoria Repair Center, you can also buy a hover drone as a pet from the Automated Wares robot here for 1,000 bits. Once on board the Incognito, head to the room on the ground floor that holds the workbench, and you'll find your pets. You can change which pets are active from this room, and give them pats too. Now that you've started your adventure on the right foot, it's time for you to set your sights on doing, well, whatever it is you want to do. The world is your oyster, or whatever the equivalent of an oyster in this game is called.
Anti-Cleo.
For more help with the Outer Worlds 2, check out our wiki for help with collectibles, areas, and class stats. And for all other things gaming, stick with IGN.